Hey everyone, this is Kevin T. Rodriguez, film critic of iCritic.net, and you know what's starting to really annoy me? Like, just annoy me? Star Wars. And I say this at a very cautious time in my life because I have a girlfriend who has never seen Star Wars. And we are getting ready to embark on a Star Wars marathon where we watch a movie or two a week until the new movie comes out. And I was looking forward to the new movie, and the keyword being was, because I have to admit, I thought for a long time that George Lucas would honestly be the worst thing to happen to Star Wars. You know, the guy who created it and managed to run it into the ground was the prequel trilogy and over merchandising. Then he sold it to Disney, and I was cautious. I was cautious. It's like I am very, very afraid of what they're going to do. And Disney's plan with Star Wars has basically been to release a new movie every year. And in fact, they've got the next 10 years worth of Star Wars movies already planned. Which, yeah, I don't care how much you like Star Wars. I don't care how much you want it in your life. Come on, get a life. There's more than just Star Wars. But this story probably bothers me more because I've been having issues with Star Wars movies in the sense of how successful they are. And I can't pin that entirely on Star Wars. If people want to see it, people want to see it. That's all I can say about that. But it bothers me that every time there's a Star Wars movie in theaters, particularly one of the episode movies, you know, like episode 2, 3, 4, whatever. And how they just swallow the competition. They swallow the competition to the point where even Avatar 2, when they found out they would be sharing a release date near Star Wars, they delayed themselves. You know, that was like, okay, they've delayed themselves several times, that movie, but, you know, they delayed it because they didn't want to be competing with Star Wars. And there's so many good movies that fail to connect at the box office because Star Wars is there, and it's on so many screens, and nobody wants to see anything else. And that bothers me. That bothers me so much. That is Star Wars ruining cinema in a nutshell. When Star Wars originally revolutionized cinema, now it's hurting it. But this article from Business Insider about Disney's scare tactics is even more concerning, because they are making some really, really bold and daring demands from the theater chains. To quote the article, "When you are the king of the mountain, you can declare some unusual terms, and that's exactly what Disney is doing when it comes to releasing Star Wars The Last Jedi," some theater owners said. Even though Disney releases, including its Star Wars movies, have been a godsend to the movie theater business, which has seen a decrease in ticket sales over the last few years, some theater owners believe the requirements the studio's forcing on them to play The Last Jedi have gone too far. According to the Wall Street Journal, movie theaters can show The Last Jedi only if they agree that Disney gets 65% of the ticket sale revenue, which is the largest cut a studio has ever asked from theaters. They also have to show the movie in their largest auditoriums for at least 4 weeks. Sorry, skipped one. Ignoring those terms would lead to Disney charging the theater an additional 5%, which means that Disney would get 70% of the sales. For major multiplexes, these requirements aren't deal breakers, but for small independent theaters, this could cripple their business. So some independently owned theaters have decided not to play The Last Jedi. Most movie theaters send 55 to 60% of ticket sales back to studios, depending on if the movie is a major blockbuster or not. Now, here's one of the reasons why these terms are problematic. First of all, yeah, Star Wars is a godsend to theaters, but let's use another huge franchise, Harry Potter, where bookstores got into pricing wars with other bookstores to the point where, like, Borders was actually discounting the book so much that they officially were not making any money off the book on the opening week, because the 40% off the cover was their entire profit. And that creates a bit of a paradox, as they say, because Harry Potter is driving people to the bookstore, but if they're cutting the price so much that they're not making any money, what's the point of even having it? Well, that's what the theaters are pretty much getting at. Giving them this extra cut means that essentially the theaters aren't making any money off the Star Wars movie ticket. Now, they can combat that with snacks. And people will buy concessions for this movie, especially if they're using Movie Pass to get in. But then there's that other thing, like the large screen auditorium. That includes like IMAX, RPX, XD. I mean, I know that Jumanji was planned for IMAX, but Jumanji opens 2 weeks after Star Wars. But Disney is now saying, hey, we want Star Wars in the largest auditorium 4 weeks. 4 weeks, no questions. Which means I guess I'm not seeing Jumanji in IMAX. Because who's going to take Star Wars off the big screen and risk giving up even more of the profits? Heck, at 70%, I think the theaters are losing money with each ticket sold for Star Wars. It's just absolutely insane. And you know what? This is not the first time Disney has done something like this. I remember 2 years ago when The Force Awakens opened, there was this very interesting controversy, and almost nobody but me cared about it, it seemed. But the Cinerama in Hollywood was going to be showing The Hateful Eight in 70mm film, and that was a great screen to show 70mm. It was capable of projecting 70mm, and the movie was opening, I believe, December 28th, if I recall. Star Wars had been out for a few weeks by then, but Disney strong-armed the theater saying, hey, we won't share future Star Wars movies with you unless you keep Star Wars on that auditorium. Well, who's going to argue with that, right? And they backed down. I mean, granted, I eventually saw Hateful Eight on a 70mm projection. It was wonderful. I would have loved to have seen it there, but like, why was that one screen so important? Because it monopolizes, of course, the screens. Like, and this is where Star Wars is becoming something I am starting to dislike a little bit, because it's snuffing out the competition. It's a big enough name and enough people want to see it that Disney can effectively make demands that are monopolistic in nature. And they say, hey, you can't do this. You absolutely cannot do this. So, you know, we want to show our movies on these screens, and hey, if someone else wants to show it, too bad. We're Star Wars. What are you going to do about it? And the idea of going through this for 10 years is going to bother me. It's going to bother me a lot. Because, oh my gosh, like, I do not look forward to a future where every December there is nothing but one movie to see. Nothing but one movie. Are you kidding me? Now, in all fairness, would I have seen Jumanji in IMAX? Probably not. Even if Disney hadn't made these demands, I bet it's going to do so well. And in Disney's credit, the movie has to make at least $500 million for these rules to be enforceable. Which, let's be honest, of course it's going to make that kind of money. But I just, it disappoints me. I mean, that this is what it's come to. That basically December is no longer, and for time in December, that's the worst part. Because here's the thing. You open it in May or April, there's not a lot of movies to see. December is awards season. That's when some really good, interesting movies get released. No one's going to be able to see those movies, not only because they don't want to see them, there's a Star Wars movie in theaters, but because Disney is literally hogging the screens. And that bothers me. So, anyway, what do you folks think? Is this going to affect your decision to see Star Wars? Probably not. What do you think of what Disney's doing? I'd love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy the videos I make, consider becoming a Patreon member for $1 a month. $5 getting you access to exclusive videos not seen anywhere else. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.